Hi, McCartney fans, and welcome to episode 119 of Two Legs, a Paul McCartney podcast. We are a Paul McCartney talk show mainly dealing with the solo career of the one and only Paul McCartney. I'm one of your two co hosts, and you may know me from my other show, Talk More Talk. I am Tom Hunyadi, and as always, I'm joined by my backwards traveler, my partner in crime, Andy Nichols. Andy, what's going on?
Hanging in, man. Still here, snowed in the Northeast,
Oh, sorry to hear that, buddy.
but hanging in here. And it's February, and it's
It's
uh,
February.
it's
It's
almost
it's
Valentine's Day.
it's when this is posted, it's going to be Valentine's weekend. So we thought we'd set the mood by talking about this album right here, "Kisses on the Bottom," and the DVD Blu-ray set of Live Kisses. So but before we get to that, I just want to give a shout out to our boy in the UK, Martin Quibble, or Marv, the host of the really good podcast Pods Like Us. And Andy and I, we were fortunate enough to be on that show. And I want to just thank him for sending us a copy of the HMV exclusive McCartney 3, the
Thank you,
blue.
Martin. Thank you, man.
Yes, and I gotta tell you, I'm
You
just
you, you played it,
knocked
right,
out.
Tom? You played
No,
it.
I haven't played it, but I
Oh,
am
you,
just
oh, you just looked at it, right?
yeah, I'm just really impressed with this blue. I don't know if the camera's really
It
gonna do
it
it
it doesn't
justice.
like it looks good. It looks good, but I'm
Yeah.
sure it looks even better in person.
Oh, it does, man. It's a really great blue, and really impressed. And it's too bad because the only color I really don't care for is that Target green,
It's the
unfortunately.
only one. All the other colors, as we've said, pop.
Oh man, they pop. They're beautiful. The red is great. The orange, the yellow.
The only thing they haven't done yet, and you wonder if they're going to do it. They're going to do a kind of like a splatter
I
one.
would. I was hoping for a splatter. Hoping for a splatter. But we did. They did that splatter for the digital download where they showed the image
Yeah,
of
yeah,
the
yeah,
of the
yeah.
die
Of the
as a
die
splatter.
as a
Yeah,
splatter, which was
as a
cool.
splatter. Right. Yeah, and I would have loved that. Even with marble or whatever, something crazy to that effect. I would have loved a version of that
Yeah.
McCartney 3, but but really no news this week except for McCartney 3 is officially off the charts now. It only took 4 weeks after premiere or after peaking at number two on its first weekend. But other than that, it's man, it didn't take long at all, unfortunately.
No, but you
You
can't
know,
be surprised with that. In
no,
the
you no, you can't be surprised with, especially with the older acts like
no,
McCartney.
they get that quick initial rush and then it
Yeah.
takes a dive. But again,
Right.
the charts are not what the charts were even,
No, no, not
20,
at
30,
all.
40 years ago,
Not at all.
50
But you
years ago.
figured that probably you would figure that even though because you had that initial week of the 18th, so and then 2 weeks later, you had or a week later you had Christmas. So even if it had like a couple weeks leading up to Christmas, maybe it could have stayed on the charts. So maybe an extra week or two just because of
Just because of the
the holiday
rush.
sales or
The
whatever,
rush.
right?
Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, but it hit number two here, number one in the UK. So I'm sure he's pleased with that. I'm not really sure if it hit a million in sales or even 500,000 copies in sales. I don't know. I
Half a
haven't seen
million,
anything.
not sure.
Yeah, if it went gold or anything like that, but
Yeah.
probably not if it only made it a week or I
Prob-
made it a month on the charts.
probably not. Probably
Yeah,
not.
which is a shame because I think it's, if this album came out, 20, 30 years ago, it probably would have been, gold or platinum, at least gold,
Well, it
500,000
might as
copies.
time marches on. Maybe enough people snap it up and it gets to that status. Who knows?
Yeah.
If it God forbid ends up being his last album, knock wood.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the thing, if it is his last album or, God forbid he does pass on or whatever, yeah, people are just going to be,
That's what I'm saying. You
yeah,
know,
people are going to be snatching everything up left and right. Prices are going to go through the roof.
if,
That's why I'm really worried about that. Especially with me, trying to catch up on all the past singles, that I don't have. if say like if he were to pass tomorrow, I mean everything, even the dime a dozen 45s, like
The one
say
ebony and ivories,
ebony and
the
ivories
ones you
and
see everywhere. Yeah,
yeah,
they're gonna.
everywhere. I mean, those are gonna be like they're $5 now. They could be 20, the day after he passes. You know
Yeah,
what I
so
mean?
forget about the hard to
Yeah.
come by ones.
Oh, forget it. Why are we talking about this?
I know. Yeah, well, because it's been 2020, and
Right.
I mean, people look at today. I mean, the recording day, and other people are just dropping. Mary Wells,
Yes.
the Supremes
Yes, the
died today.
Supremes. Yeah, the only member to stay with the Supremes for its entire run. So
Yeah,
that's
no,
a very
it's
significant part in that Motown era.
oh no. Unfortunately, it just seems like over the last few months, they just clipped by.
Well, that's the thing. It's just like it's almost like to the point now where when I wake up and then you're scrolling Facebook and then you see a celebrity's face and you're thinking, oh, did this one just pass now? you
Right.
know,
That's the first
yeah.
thing you think of,
Think
right?
of exactly.
You're like, oh,
Every year when it's right around Betty White's birthday, you see all these pictures of Betty White and you're like, no.
no! Did it finally happen? Oh, well, listen,
Right, right.
we know it's coming, but
Oh yeah. Ringo, you saw a new picture of Ringo or Instagram or tweet with Ringo, and he's got a little bit longer
longer
hair.
hair. Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, so obviously he's dying that.
Yeah, I would think so.
Right.
It's funny, he's dying it now, and Paul's not dying it now after dying it for
Right.
20
Right.
years. I mean,
Right.
the man was going gray in '86 and press to play videos.
Right.
And
That's
all of a
right.
sudden, come
Right.
on, he had like salt and
Yeah.
peppery hair with those press videos, and
Right.
now in the early 2000s, he's going to be like
It's like yeah.
painted like red. Like what? But he's finally gracefully aging, which is
Yeah, I did like that look on him back in the mid '80s with that
yeah, it was great.
yeah, the press video with
Yeah,
when you can tell it was coming in a little bit.
right.
It was a good look.
It was a good look. He should have just went natural, and then. I think after Linda died is kind of where he
Right.
wanted to get a little more youthful energy. I mean, it's like that first tour I saw him in 2002 was like,
Right.
look, it was just like, what are you trying to do here?
Right. Well, you have the guys like David Crosby, who you can obviously tell they don't give a rat's.
Clearly he doesn't.
Right. No. He's just like screw it. I'm 70 whatever years old and
I don't care. I'm going out the way I want to go out. Yeah.
Too funny. But yeah, I mean, it's funny when you see these aging rock stars and you can tell that they've had some kind of work done, on their face, or obviously the beard or goatee or whatever, and the hair is
Yeah.
is
I mean, look at
all
this picture
dyed.
of Paul on Live Kisses. He looks like he's
Right.
had work that's been touched up a bit.
Yeah,
I don't know.
definitely new teeth, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. Who knows?
Right. Yeah. But yeah, so Kisses on the Bottom. So
Almost
I
10 years.
guess
Almost 10 years old now.
yeah,
Almost
that's true.
10
Next
years old.
year. Yeah. Oh, it's 9 really, right? When you think about it.
In fact, I just before we went on, I looked at the back of the live. This Live Kisses thing was shot on February 9th, which is the day we're recording.
Wow. There you go.
Which is pretty odd.
So it was shot of 2012.
Yeah, Live Kisses is the living document of one magical night in the City of Angels, Thursday, February 9th, 2012, when Paul decided to bring his newly released collection of lovingly rendered standards and 2 originals, Kisses on the Bottom, to life at the very same Capitol Studios where much of the album was created. So
yes,
go figure.
Yeah, so they recorded that 3 days after its initial release.
Then. Oh, initial release. Well, I was going to ask you. The initial release was obviously
February 6th of 2012. Yeah.
Right.
So do you recall hearing about this coming out?
I remember seeing on the website Kisses on the Bottom coming soon. I'm like, what the hell is this going to be?
Right.
'Cause
Because it had been a while since a brand new McCartney record. I mean, we got the Fireman because you had Memory Almost Full in 2007, and then you had the
this was a,
Fireman.
this was a weird fair period of flurry of activity, but like subtle at the same time. Memory was full, electric arguments,
Ornaments.
touring. We
Right.
got Good Evening New York in 2009. Ocean's Kingdom in 2010, which I wasn't really even into, to be honest with you. I don't know if
Right.
you
And
were.
then you got, yeah, and then you had the archive sets starting to come out.
That started coming out, more touring, so he wasn't, again, as many times throughout his career, he wasn't sitting around doing nothing, but he was involved
Right.
in obviously lots of different areas. And all of a sudden, in his, at that time, we're talking 9 years ago, so he was about 69, not quite 70, right? No, 20, yeah, he was about 69 years old, and he hits us with his first, standards album,
Right. Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
I was surprised. I mean, I don't know what was your initial thoughts of it,
Well, I was more or
recollections.
less, yeah, I was more or less when I first heard that he was going to do an album of standards. I was just like, well, about time, really. I mean, if you would have said to the casual McCartney fan, they probably would have said, "Well, didn't he do one already?" Or you know what I mean? It's just one of those things where he's peppered us throughout the years with these standard style songs that he's written.
Here and there, but never in a full
Exactly,
album.
but never a full album. So really, it's kind of like the thing with Ringo, where you kind of want him to do another country album, or at least I do, because I love Buku's Blues a lot, but instead he kind of like peppers us with a country song here and there on his albums. You know what I mean? So this is just vice versa. You hear McCartney singing all these Muzak or Granny songs or standards, whatever you
throughout
want,
his throughout his whole career.
throughout his whole career, and then finally now here it is. We got a full album full of them.
Yeah,
So
I know. When you're in your post promoting the show, I know our friend Joe Mayo chimed in that he thought Paul waited a little too late to do an album of standards like
yeah,
this.
yeah.
Jumping on the Rod Stewart bandwagon.
Well, and that's exactly right, because he was pretty cautious of that. He knew he wanted to do something like this, but yeah, I mean Rod the Mod. I mean, he ended up doing like 50 of them. I
Yeah, so
exaggerated,
many.
but yeah, it was just.
Ton.
But he was having massive success with them. I mean, massive success. But here's the thing: he
Got his
was
career. Got his career going
got
again.
his career going. Yeah, I mean, almost a third act, if you will, for Rod there.
Yeah.
But where he went, where Paul didn't, was that he was doing songs that people really know. He was
For
doing those
big
well-known
ones.
Dino and Frank and Tony Bennett.
Right.
I mean, those songs that people know, the standards that people know. Paul went a different way with this one.
Because he didn't want to just hop on that bandwagon to
Right,
just do a bunch of major well-known songs. So the
right,
average Paul fan is probably like, this album sucked because I don't know half these songs.
right. Exactly.
That's
So
probably
you're
what.
not getting like the "Come Fly with Me" or or
No,
"That's the More" or anything like that.
but I think it gave an opportunity for people to get to learn some songs they didn't know. I mean, I
Absolutely.
don't know if you knew any of these songs before listening to the album. I knew a couple. I didn't know them all.
Right,
I knew a few of the songs, but I remember my grandparents playing a couple of these songs.
right.
Um, Bye Bye Blackbird actually is the one that I knew.
Well,
Right, which we know the connection to that.
yeah, it's because Ringo did that on the Sentimental Journey album.
Right. So, and of course, but it was definitely like okay, Sanders album, but we don't really know these songs. So
Right.
it's yeah.
Yeah, and and I'll tell you, to be honest with you, is when I'm listening to this, um, yeah, the titles don't look familiar to you, but then when you hear the songs, I was, the glory of love.
Sure, you
I
knew
didn't
that one.
really did. Yeah, you knew that one, but then stuff like "Get Yourself Another Fool," what's the
Inchworm.
other one? Inchworm. We Three. You
Right.
know. Those songs, it's like I really didn't know them by title, but I knew
It's
them
only it's
by
only yeah, no, it's only a
listen to
paper
them.
moon. You probably knew the
Yeah,
melody if it's only a
right,
paper moon.
right.
Um
But it was like the when I heard that he was doing one of my favorites, like standards, or if you will, my one and only love, which wasn't until well, the deluxe version, that I think it was like was a Target deluxe, maybe. I don't recall
I don't know.
where it was the
It's
deluxe, but
it's yeah. It's I think it's a hidden. It was an extra. Is
yeah.
it a hidden
Well,
track?
it was not a hidden track, because once you get the deluxe version, it has Baby's Requests and My One and Only Love on
Okay,
there.
on there
So
too. Were
yeah,
those
exactly.
available as downloads too? Maybe
Maybe,
because I checked
maybe.
mine. I looked. I mean, this is just the standard, but
Yeah, I think there was an iTunes download one as
I
well.
think there had to be those they were available because I
Hmm.
in my library those two are on there, but
Right,
I only have the standard one, with the
right.
14. But so
Gotcha.
you got what was it? My only what was the other two? Baby's request and
Baby's
what?
Request and My One and Only Love, which
Yeah,
I'm a huge fan of that song, specifically by the jazz sax musician John Coltrane.
sure.
He did an album with the crooner named Johnny Hartman, which is a classic jazz record and one of my favorite records of all time. But yeah, so when I say certain songs like that, I kind of get excited, and I enjoy when Paul does these songs. If I was like your age when this album came out, I might not have been so excited about it, because it took me a little while to appreciate these songs. You know what I'm saying?
It did.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it all depends on your taste too. If
Hmm.
you're into that Sinatra, Dean Martin stuff, and you like that stuff anyway,
Right.
this music might be a little more accessible for you.
Right. And you're
And but that might not be. A hardcore Beatle fan who just likes the Beatles might be like, I don't like this stuff. You know, but
right.
if you've been exposed to music of the 40s
Right.
and 30s, which is some of these go back to,
Right.
you're gonna be like, okay, this isn't bad, because and
No,
listen,
it's not.
we've known throughout his whole career. I mean, he's talked about his dad playing this
Yes.
stuff growing
Yeah,
up.
New Year's Eve, New Year's
Yeah,
night. He talks about his dad, sitting at the piano, all the ladies, they're sipping
anti
their little, yeah, at the gin,
anti
sipping
gin.
their drinks, and usually it takes about 30 to 60 minutes, and then of sipping, and then all of a sudden, somebody's on the piano. Next thing you know, you're singing for the next 5 hours.
Right. So that's definitely what this music probably it means to him. And
Mm.
the fact that I always take away with when Paul does these kind of releases that are off, not as part of his main canon, when he does stuff like this or Electric
Right.
Arguments,
Run,
you
double
know,
run.
Run Devil Run or any of the kind of like the experimental electronical stuff, he's just reaching out and doing another branch of music. And if that makes somebody else aware of that music who's never
Right.
previously would have known about it, and then they
Yeah.
like that, they become a fan of that kind of music, and he's brought that to them, then he's done his purpose.
He
He's
does
doing
purpose.
he's doing what he wants to do. But if he's turning people onto it and
Right.
they
He
end up
loves
liking it,
this. He loves this stuff just as much as he does the '50s rock and roll.
sure.
The Elvis and the Little Richards and the Chuck Berry stuff.
Yeah, and of course, he worked, a couple originals onto this one.
Yeah, yeah. Now these originals, My Valentine and Only Our Hearts. We'll talk about that in a few minutes, but I think it was appropriate for him to do something like that. And you kind of had the feeling that because he did that before, especially with Run Double Run, he gave us a couple,
Threw a couple originals in there with the
just the
covers. Yeah.
originals and that style
Yeah.
of music, which is fine. I don't necessarily know if they really work, or one of them works for this album, but
Yeah. Yeah, we know which one doesn't.
yeah, the bathroom break song.
And
But
I didn't realize this till looking at the live because there's
yeah,
6 videos for that.
right,
6. I didn't even
yes.
realize that, so I was looking at this today. It's
Mm,
6 videos of My Valentine. I just thought it was the one.
it's insane.
6 videos. Now there
It's
was,
like Mary Had a Little Lamb
and
all
now
over
that's
again.
I'll take 6 of those, but not 6 of these. Ooh.
Mm,
I mean, it's a nice sentiment, but man, I think even if you and I are calling that a bathroom break song, it
right,
really must be. I mean,
right,
we're one of the only people that host a weekly show on Paul McCartney. If that's going to be a bathroom break song for us, we know it's got to be
right,
for everybody else.
right. Anyway, so released on Hear Music, distributed through Concord. I mean,
Concord, yep.
yes. Obviously, you got the MPL logo on here as well. Like you said, recorded most of it recorded at Capitol, which I'm sure Paul was just really maybe. I mean, he talked about kind of being intimidated by because you're singing, you're singing into a mic that Nat King Cole sang in.
Yeah, and they really they I mean they when you look at the when you look through the liner notes and the photos, I mean
Right.
that mic is like legit. Like that's
Yes.
the mic. You can see how aged it was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
and it
So
was yeah. Go
go
ahead.
ahead. No. So getting into a little bit of the history of it, Paul, had his team, talked to one of his people at MPL, wanting to, figure out who could, possibly produce, something like this. Obviously, George Martin would have been, ideal to produce something like that, but by that time he's, really getting on. His hearing is not anywhere near what it was. So he enlisted the help of Tommy LiPuma, which again the classic producers. His credits are just check him
Off
out.
the charts.
Check out his credits on Wikipedia or something like that. And it's is I mean it's unfortunately he's not with us anymore.
Yeah, passed away a couple of years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah. So which is a shame because it would have been great to talk to him about this. But yeah, the thing about this record, it just doesn't feel he doesn't feel like he's under any pressure or stress at all. It just feels like a record where he's just there to have fun, not take it too seriously. At least that's how I feel when I listen to the his vocals. It just feels like it's not rushed in a way. He doesn't feel like he's under any kind of pressure to perform these songs. It just feels like it's a nice relaxed atmosphere with him doing these songs.
Definitely agree to that. It's and I know it was when reading up on the liner notes, he didn't feel I think initially comfortable because he was just singing. He didn't have an instrument or
Right.
piano. So he
Yeah.
was like, well, what do I do here? Do I just is this how it's
Right.
supposed to be? So but obviously he got, I definitely feel that's he settled into that vibe pretty well of the
Hmm.
being relaxed, and you hear
Right.
that in the music. It's not gonna be a record you spin every day.
No.
You're gonna but it comes off well. It's very relaxed. His singing is very confident on it, and honestly I wish he would do a little more of these, to be honest with you. Not a lot, but at least one or two more would have been nice.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't have had a problem with that either. But yeah, like you said, it's the singing is I don't get a sense to where I don't feel like yeah his voice you can tell is aging, but I don't think it's
I think they might. I think it's like
songs.
with the mic too. Like his vocals are so brought up in this mix
Right.
because of the fact that he's just singing. He's not playing any instruments. So
Right.
plus the fact that he's a capital. Like this album is mixed with the vocals so brought up front, to the front more so than any other really kind of
Right.
recent McCartney record. And I think that was on purpose to kind of showcase him singing these songs, and the musicianship, which has been phenomenal, which I'm sure Tom will get to here.
Yeah.
um
Absolutely.
which, and there's McCartney ties with this with Diana Krall,
Real
and as we
good.
know.
Yeah. Mrs. Elvis Costello.
Right.
So yeah, so let's talk about again, bringing in Diana Krall for this is was probably one of the smarter things that he did for this. Having players that know this music, like a Diana Krall, like a John Pizzarelli, and his dad Bucky.
Yeah.
Other players. The what's I'm looking at? Yeah, Robert Hurst, the bass player.
Yep.
Karam Riggins, on drums. I mean, these guys know
This music.
this style of music. You know what I mean? So they know how to arrange these kind of music, these kind of songs. They know how to play these kind of songs. So that was probably one of the most important factors of this album was having a band that knew these songs, and
Right.
Diana Krall knew these songs. So
Yeah.
you know
She thought that she was the only one that knew that song "Home."
home. Yeah,
Shadows,
exactly.
Shadows
Right.
Fall.
Right.
when Paul went said, "Let's do this one," and she's like,
Right.
"You know that one too?"
Right. And like one of the stories that he likes to tell, obviously there's always a couple stories that he likes to tell when he's promoting albums.
Ah,
And he would tell the story how, Dinah was like, "Okay, well, what are you gonna do, in this part here?" And he goes, "Well, what do you mean me? I'm a foreigner, I'm in LA, I'm a tourist, I'm on holiday, you know.
right, right. I'm just here.
I'm just here, you figure it
Yeah,
out." No, so, but yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, I mean, I would almost, for me, I would say the musicianship might be the best part of this album. And I mean, it's just so professional and
yeah.
so, and, and amazingly great that Paul vocals is obviously, for us it's the cherry on top, because Paul is such this iconic singer that but it's really, for me, it's the musicianship that really makes this album.
That stands out. I know a lot of, and I agree with you, Tom. I know a lot of people feel that that I spoke to when this album came out
Yeah.
felt Paul should kind of transition into this more because he was starting to lose his voice with the screamers and
Right.
rockers. He should kind of go into more of this mode. And I
Right.
often, when after this came out, I said to myself, "Damn," because he teased us by redoing Baby's Request.
Right.
Awesome if he redid all of his kind of
Right.
standard type songs
You
in
gave me the answer,
like redo. You gave me the answer, Honey
right.
Pie.
Pie. Right. Right.
Them again on one
Right.
album in this way. That would be awesome.
Right.
That would have been
Right.
that would have been an awesome project just to. But listen, Paul's always going to be who he is at his core, and he's never going to deviate too far from what he does, right?
Yeah. So I think it was actually like I think he's just credited playing acoustic guitar on a couple tracks, but for the most part, like you said, he is just doing vocals on this album, which I think in a way, I think it helps his performance on vocals as well.
Absolutely, because he's only I don't. That's all he has to worry about, and he's
Yeah.
just there in front of the mic, doing his thing. Um, it's being promoted very well back at the time. It was
hmm
promoted very well. I don't know. I don't remember what it charted.
Well, it peaked at 3 in the UK and number 5 here in the States, and it was number 1 on the jazz charts.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, the whole package is just class from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Um, if you grab the DVD, it's got a nice little Elvis Costello kind of does the little intro.
Oh, okay, cool. Yep,
Yeah,
that's right. Yep, that's right.
um, class the two of them there.
Oh, that's the classic
The
photo
classic,
from Flowers in the Dirt sessions,
yeah, yeah.
or
So
their sessions
their
anyway.
sessions anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, the book. Do you have the DVD handy, Tom, or no?
It's over.
Oh,
I gotta reach for it. But
but it's got a nice interview with Paul and Elvis, throughout the whole thing. So, and it's
mhm.
black and white. And I remember at the time, actually, just had a flashback. This was on. You could watch
PBS.
it. No, but you could watch it on. You could watch it on iTunes
Oh, okay.
live. If you had iTunes, you could watch the stream of it
Right.
live. That when the night that they did it, I remember, and I watched it that night
No kidding.
in iTunes, black and white. It was just a broadcast live.
Okay.
And you watch, and then a few months later, this came out.
Mm.
But then when did the Christmas Kisses thing come out?
That was just more or less the Christmas song "Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire" that he did a cover
But
of.
right, but then didn't he include this album again with that track on there too? Or am I not remembering that right?
See if he did. I didn't see that. If he did, so if you guys out there, if one of you guys that are listening, if you have it, let us know.
Could have sworn because he just redid the package of the album and threw
Right.
all the bonus tracks and then the Christmas song
Christmas song.
tacked
Right.
onto that too.
Right.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, and I know that was released as a 45 as well.
Correct. Um, yeah. So you watched it on PBS, Tom, the live Kisses?
No, I didn't watch it on PBS. I think I was working that night. So
Well, you
obviously, the
obviously
first
you
time
just
I watched it was when I picked it up on DVD. But then I upgraded to Blu-ray.
the Blu-ray, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is maybe one of the first Blu-rays that I bought. It's nice. Obviously, they're going for this vintage look when you watch this shot in black and white, right? Of course.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you've got Abe, his
Oh, Abe's. Yeah. Right.
Abe's there in
Yeah.
the studio in Capitol doing it.
And then you got Joel Walsh, I think, comes in and does guitar for Eric Clapton.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Who's on the record, right?
Yeah, Eric Clapton's on the record, and then I think Joe Walsh was performed with him when he did the song on the My Valentine at the Grammys too, or something like that.
Yeah, no, and of course he played it on the Grammys too, right?
I think
Yeah,
so. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I just remember being totally like, okay, didn't expect this one to be coming, but
Right.
okay, that was the I remember feeling like, okay, he's doing a standards album, you know.
Right. I like
So,
the cover a lot. I actually really like the cover.
you like
Of
it?
Yeah. I mean, I like the photo of him with all of these long stem flowers and whatnot.
Yeah,
I dig that.
yeah, tasteful. It's a tasteful
Yeah.
package.
Mm-hmm.
Double LP, on the
Okay, it
vinyl.
is. Yeah.
Oh well, yeah, double, of course,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Back then, everything back then was too.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I mean, what are your like? So your favorite, some of your favorite. Give me your
Yes. Yeah.
top three favorite tracks.
Yeah. No problem. I can do that easily. I'm gonna sit right off the bat. I'm gonna sit right down and write myself a letter.
Okay,
Love that one. We three, my echo, my shadow, and me. Love it. Actuate to the
accentuate the
Great.
positive.
Thank you. Accentuate. Can't spit it out here. The positive. Love that one. Always have.
No, but did you know that before the record or no? That's
I no. I Once I heard it, I
oh
did.
oh really? So you
Oh
had
yeah.
heard that song before?
I had heard. I didn't remember it by title, but once I had heard it, I was like, yeah, I know this.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. My very good friend, the Milkman, is good, and then obviously Bye Bye Blackbird we know from because Ringo had done it. But one of my other
Who do
favorites
you?
is
Go
Get
ahead.
Yourself Another Fool as well.
Ringo's or Paul's on Bye Bye Blackbird? Who do you like? Who do you like
Oh,
better?
I really dig the banjo on Ringo. Ringo's doing
On
the
Ringo's,
banjo, yeah.
yeah.
But it starts differently too. Paul kind of like starts with chorus before he goes with the verse, and Ringo
Yes.
starts with the verse.
Verse, and then goes to the
Yeah,
chorus. Yeah.
right. So different arrangements on Paul's version, but yeah. So I would go, okay. So if I were to say my favorites again, I'd be I'm gonna sit right down and write myself a letter. We three, accentuate the positive. Um, my very good friend the Milkman, and Get Yourself Another Fool.
And we're not ranking the tracks on this one, folks. We're just talking about.
Yes, that's right.
And we're not doing this one either when we get to it, because it's not an original. We're not doing it, right? Or are we?
Well, we'll worry about that. That's months away, dude. We just hit the 80s, man.
I know. Well, because you're going to say, are you going to rank this one too? I don't know if we're going to rank it or not. Maybe we will. All right, so we won't divulge too much with this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? Which ones are your favorites?
I agree with you that the album opener just sets the mood perfectly. I'm going to sit right down and write myself a letter. It's awesome.
A lot of kisses on the bottom. I'll be glad I got them.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think my favorite one on the record though is "More I Cannot Wish You," and personally, because I have a personal connection to that, because that's from the stage version of Guys and Dolls.
Guys and Gals, yes.
Not the movie, which I did that show in high school. I did tech in high school, and I produced that show as the stage manager. Guys and Dolls, right? The movie version.
Movie version. With Brando singing "Luck Be a Lady Tonight."
With "Luck Be a Lady Tonight." Luck be a lady tonight, Fredo.
I need a Philadelphia cheese sandwich.
I need it. Okay, Fredo. Yeah, I'm gonna cut the orange. Huh?
Yeah.
But yeah, "More I Cannot Wish You" from the stage version of Guys and Dolls, which I actually remember when we did that show in high school, I was like, this is a really good song. And then, and I liked it then. And then this album comes out and I'm like, oh, he did "More I Cannot Wish You." And he does such a great version on it. And he speaks very fondly of it on the live, because
EPKs.
Because he thinks about, he's talking about his daughter and everything. And it's a nice song that kind of, basically tells, children just to have, good fortune on their head. And, it's a nice message. By Blackbird. But I think Inchworm and Go Get Yourself Another Fool.
Yeah, that's a great one.
As Tom mentioned, Go Get Yourself is a great one. And
I think that's the one with Eric Clapton on it. Yeah, Eric Clapton's on that one. Yep.
Yeah. Inchworm is cool because you've got the kids chorus going on there, going the two and
Yes.
two and foo is four is eight,
Mm-hmm.
kind of counter stuff going on, which is very musically very interesting. Yeah,
Right.
get yourself another fool. Yeah, Eric's on that one too.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, yeah. That one was a real that's a song. I did not know that song at all before this album came out, and
Interesting.
I'm like, this is a great song. So I
Mhm.
wouldn't know if I would like the original version, but uh,
Right.
have you sought out after this the original versions, or have you heard the original versions after
You
learning the
know.
McCartney ones, or not really?
You know what? A couple of them, like like the Glory of Love. That's the story. I mean, yeah. I with that one, I would check out. The Inchworm as well. Um, I did as well, but not all of them because I just wanted it. I didn't want it to ruin this album for me,
This
really.
experience, yeah.
Exactly the experience, like because I didn't want to go back and say, oh well, Paul didn't really do a good job on this one. You know what I mean? So I just wanted it to keep it fresh to my ears and not really kind of have my listening experience influenced.
Tainted by
Yeah,
that,
yeah, tainted. Yeah, exactly, in a negative way because I
yeah.
wanted to. You know,
Um, he's got interesting in the special thanks. He's got Steve Martin listed in the credits there,
hmm.
and I wonder what that connection is
Yeah, I didn't heard anything in any of the interviews that I listened to with him
for
about
for
Steve
that.
Martin.
No, but I'm sure obviously we know the connection there.
Right.
They've done some stuff, but
Best love.
yeah, it's one of Tom's favorites. He turned me on
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tommy LiPuma. Yeah, when he passed away a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah, I think it was like 2 years ago, maybe. But the originals on here, My Valentine. He's really incorporated that into all of his
Hmm.
since then to his live
Yeah,
shows.
took COVID for that to stop.
Anyways, it's not terrible,
It's just
but
not.
I
It's
just
not
don't think
where it should be in the show.
no.
Oh,
But not talking about the aspect of it, but I
oh,
mean, for
just the
me,
song.
just the song itself and where it's placed pretty much right in the middle of the CD. I just think maybe if it was kind of more in the end, because I think in Only Our Hearts more fits this album than My Valentine does in a way, I think. However, I'm not the biggest fan of Stevie Wonder's harmonica playing in Only Our Hearts, just because I just don't feel like a harmonica goes with
That song.
this style of music, really.
No,
But I don't know what you think on that, but I mean, but I would say like if I were to pick two of which ones are my favorite, I would say only our hearts would be I
one
think
of.
is a better song than out of the two. My Valentine. I mean, my Valentine has just become this. I think he wants us to wants us to think of it as like a maybe I'm amazed.
Yeah,
It's
that
not a
ain't
song,
happening.
and
That ain't
yeah,
happening.
exactly. It's not happening. Absolutely not.
That's not
Not
even
for
a.
me,
That's not even
anyways.
a bit bop.
Anyways, even though it
Well,
is
well, think
the
about it. Bip Bop Live and Seven with the live version with
Mhm.
that freaking kicks the crap out of My Valentine 10 times over.
Right, but when you think of like live, because a lot of times live being live kind of enhances the song, sometimes makes it better. It doesn't do that. I don't think it does it with him performing this song still doesn't make it
No,
better, because how we talked about those early Wings shows or whatever, and how those live performances make some of those songs a lot better.
right,
But
but not
like
not
the Bip Bop,
right, but not here.
not here, absolutely. So. But Baby's Request, not a bad cover of that song.
No, that was cool seeing
Yeah,
that. Now that should have been on the album proper. That should not have been a
yeah,
bonus track. That
yeah.
should have been on there.
Right. Which good guitar playing from Bucky Pizzarelli. You know, which unfortunately he's passed on as well. And but good playing throughout from everybody on this album.
Yeah, well produced
Right.
record, and nice to see Paul throw a little homage to the Wings there
Mm-hmm.
by doing Baby's Request. It was I know Tom was very happy when he saw that track listing. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
too bad he didn't recreate the video in Army barracks.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a better cover than his Broad Street's Long and Winding Road.
Well, that's for sure. That's coming out. That's coming up in a few weeks on Rank the
Yeah,
Tracks. So
yeah.
get your
There you
pencils
go.
out. Get your pencils out, people. Yeah, get your pencils out for that.
Right.
Yeah, but
But
this is yeah. I mean, it's hard to. It's amazing to think this is almost 10 years ago now.
isn't it?
It
It
really,
does. Right.
it's unbelievable. Let's talk vinyl. Tom had a chance to grab the vinyl on this. We were talking about before we
I would say
started.
probably about 2015, early 2016. Yeah, right when I started getting big into vinyl. One of my stores out here, I saw the copy, right there, and I unfortunately passed on it because I didn't, and I still don't. I wouldn't say that I love this album. I really like it, but I don't like love it. And at the time, I was like, I'm only gonna because I'm right, collecting vinyl is expensive. Let's face it. I mean, it is. I mean, you're looking at 22 to
30
33, $35
for one
per
title.
record. Yeah, for one title. So I told myself originally that I'm just going to, when I first started collecting vinyl, that I'm just going to get albums that I absolutely love.
So you didn't. When did you change? Because you absolutely love, which I
Yeah.
understand. But you're at the point now where I am that if the man's name is on it, it's
Yeah,
click,
exactly.
ship, buy.
It's done. Yeah, hook, line, sinker. Yeah, absolutely.
You
So
weren't at that point at that
not at
time.
that point, right? Not at that point. Yeah.
I
Because
I
I had
clearly
it on,
was.
only because I had it on CD, so I didn't really feel like I needed it at that point in time on vinyl. Now, if I would have known that it was going to go out of print, which it probably was out of print at that time. They were probably just selling whatever copies that they had left over. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
You know,
Gotcha. Yeah. No, for me, this was an Amazon purchase. $30.
yeah,
Okay, Paul, new
yeah,
30, ship, done. It's just how
right,
some of us how Tom and I are. But
right,
obviously, we're at different points of our fandom where we're collecting stuff.
right.
Also interesting too of note, the interview on the album notes was by Paul Denoyer.
Paul Denoyer, absolutely, yeah, who did the Conversations with McCartney book, and we had him on the show before you were a part of the show. So
Right, I meant to was yeah. I just wanted to talk to you about that.
yeah.
Yeah, and because how was that? How was he? What year was that on? What year? 17.
That was it 21? I would say 18.
Okay.
2018 we had him on. Our funny story is because we had him booked. It was a Sunday because it's UK. We
Time difference. Liver. I think
time
yeah.
difference.
Yep. Yep.
So but I had one of my nieces or nephew's birthday parties, I think, at the time. So it was like where my brother lives was probably 25 miles away. So we were really really tight on time. So it's like, okay, we gotta go. So we leave. We're on our way home. I get home right as we were supposed to get started, but then as I turn my computer on, guess what it wants to do?
Update.
Update. Absolutely.
Shocker. Oh man.
Yeah. So then I get on my phone, I'm on Skype with my phone. And I was like, sorry guys, just give me a couple more minutes for my laptop to get updated. So within 10 minutes we were starting the show or whatever. And Paul was a professional. He understood, and we had a great time talking with him. And maybe we should try to get him back on and talk more about his because he really did have a lot of conversations, a lot of interviews with McCartney through the years. I think starting in '89, I want to say. So if I remember correctly. So yeah, just a lot of experience. I mean, he's done quite a few liner notes.
Yeah, he has, and I bring him up because it's a nice question that he asks in the liner
Right.
notes here. It's an era you've often revisited, isn't it?
Right.
Honey Pie, you gave me the answer, baby's
Right.
request, and Paul just says it's a style that appeals to me. You know,
Right.
um, So, like that they pointed out, they kind of talked about how a lot of these songs were written with that kind of spoken word intro, and how the
Okay.
Beatles kind of reflected the same thing in a lot of their songs.
Hmm.
With like they did that with Here, There, and Everywhere, and Do You Want to Know a Secret, where you kind of hear like a little bit of a preamble before the song starts.
Hmm.
Some of these songs have those same qualities where there's like a little
Right.
bit of a spoken intro
Oh,
and
right.
then the song proper. And he was like, well, that's what we were going for with Do You Want to Know a Secret, where you hear that, do you know how much I really love you? And then boom, into the song. Here, There,
Mm,
and Everywhere, same thing. Kind
right.
of these. So some of these songs that kind of, Paul brought that up in the which I thought was an interesting aspect to hear that even back then that was like something the Beatles were doing as in the kind of an homage to this period of music where they kind of had
Right.
this little bit of a spoken kind of intro before the song, half
Hmm.
singing, half spoken too.
Right. So, it's funny because, we when we think Paul McCartney doing these songs with the Beatles, we think of them as classics. When we think of Paul doing some of these songs for his solo career, we don't necessarily think of him in the same light, do we?
No,
In
no.
general, just in casual Beatle fandom.
In the Beatle umbrella, it's like
Right.
classic, but solo, it's like,
Right.
well, what's that?
Right.
And although most of us like it all anyway.
Hmm. Yeah.
Most of us all like it all anyway. I mean, like I said, you can give me a whole album of Honey Pies and Your Mother Should Knows, and
Right, right. So
I
I ask you guys then, the listeners, and what do you think? Do you like it? Did you like it when Paul did these style of songs with the Beatles, and did you also like it when he does them solo, or vice versa? I mean, did you not like him when he did them solo? So let us know. I mean, was this a style of music that you just don't like in general? Let us know what
I
your
think
thoughts
it's
are on
gonna
that.
be. I think it's gonna be an age thing. To be honest with you, I think you're gonna find anybody that might be, again, generally speaking, anybody
Yeah.
that might be, say, 50 and up, will
Hmm.
like this. Will like this a lot. Or not. And anybody younger might be like, not really.
Yeah,
But then
it's
again,
funny.
there might be some 19-year-old
Right.
who says this is all great. So it's all relative.
Yeah, it is, and it is, and it just looking back on it now, when I'm a teenager, mid-teens, discovering the Beatles and listening to them and listening to songs like Honey Pie and Your Mother Should Know, and even Good Night, to a certain
Yeah,
degree as well. I thought they were great. I didn't
you liked them.
mind.
You
I
liked
didn't
them.
mind the fact that they were, those arrangements, that style of music. Even Eleanor Rigby to an extent.
So
I and She's Leaving Home. I'm saying
you dug all that, Tom?
yeah, I really
You
did
didn't like.
dig
You were
that.
like, oh, this is granny music. I hate it.
No, I didn't think of it as granny music. I didn't even know what that term meant
You just
because
you just liked it as a song,
right.
right?
Right. Yeah. Because, again, I was born in 73. Okay. So I had older relatives that grew up in that period that listened to that stuff, so growing up, you would hear those kind of songs in the background when you went to go visit family, and you got these older family members that would, play this music. My grandpa was my big fan of this,
See, there you
the
go.
Dino and the Franks and stuff
So
like that.
if you're exposed to it, you have
Right,
an inclination to like this stuff.
right. However, and then flash forward to, just Paul doing them on his own, sometimes you might not, okay, my music tastes have changed. You know what I mean? And I'm not listening to that kind of music really anymore, But then, but then you go
So
back to it,
you went into
you know?
your like metal grunge
Right.
phase there in the
Exactly.
90s.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
That speaks to you though, because I'm just you have a much more wider taste of a music appeal than I
Mm,
do, so I give you a lot of credit to be able to go from this kind of stuff to like a heavier stuff, Nirvana, or
right.
heavier
And then
music
some
and
opera too. I
metal, and
love opera. Yeah.
you have a real. I don't have. I think I have a pretty wide palette of taste in music.
Right.
You can really run the spectrum, so that's a credit to you and the music that you like. So kudos to you to be able to like all that music and consume it all. I
Right.
couldn't do that.
Right. So let's talk about the DVD Blu-ray, Live Kisses.
Yeah, live
Yeah.
kisses. Yeah.
Like you said, you first watched this then on the
iTunes
iTunes.
streaming. I remember like watching it live on the computer in black and white. It was like buffering and buffering and buffering,
Right.
but I was able to.
The good old buffering days, huh?
Oh my god, it was annoying, but I do remember it. It was, but I remember like being very impressed with it. I enjoyed it. Um, Again, with these things, you're not going to watch them, once a week. You're going to
No.
put them on every couple of years to get that experience. Again, it's a nice visual too, because
Right.
again, in the studio in Capitol Records, he's at the Hollywood Tower. Okay, where would it be?
Yes.
Obviously,
Yeah.
so
Have you
um,
been there? Have you
I,
have you got to see Capitol Tower?
I drove past it. I drove past it a couple of years ago on a trip to California. Couldn't
Oh, so you only drove past it.
I only drove past it. I took a
Okay.
photo from my phone, but I was it. I drove past it. You?
Yeah, yeah, I actually walked up to it. First time I worked at the Hollywood Bowl, when I had that catering job, we were,
Ah,
we did the my cousin or my wife's cousin lives out there, so I hooked up with him. We did a walk on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. We walked up to the Capitol Tower, but at that point it was dark. So the next time I had gone, I had like an hour to kill. So and it's really close to the Hollywood Bowl, so I was able
I
to
would have. Yeah,
yeah, so I was able to get away for a few minutes and then do that walk, because in front of the Capitol building you have the four individual stars: John, Paul, George, and Ringo. Now
right.
the Beatles one is actually like completely as far as away from the the Capitol Tower as you can get.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh
it's
man.
like at the actual like beginning of the walk of Hollywood Walk of Fame,
Oh God.
So it's just like I'm like, where's the Beatles one? Where's the Beatles one? And I finally found it the second time I
And when
was
did you go there, Tom?
that was I had again that was probably I would say 2016.
Okay, so not too
So
long ago.
yeah, not too long ago. So but what a fun experience,
Yeah,
you
yeah. I
know.
mean, I'm sure. Again, do we even know if this is in print anymore? That's a good.
Well, I'll tell you what. I picked this up because I had the DVD. And this was on sale for like 9.99. I would say mid last year is when I picked it up on Amazon. It was on sale for 9.99.
Oh,
So that's when I had picked it up. Yeah.
I don't remember half the time when you buy these things. When we
Oh,
just,
exactly. Right.
you snap it up when you get it, and that's it,
Right.
and you file it away. But again, as we've said, when Tom and I have done these shows, when we revisit certain things and films and albums, it's great to talk about because we like to
Hmm.
talk about it because we're both passionate fans. But B, it gives us a chance to actually pull these things off the shelf and look at
Right.
it.
Hmm.
So many collectors buy it, and what do? We do what Tom and I do, and we go,
Dust collector.
put it right up there,
Yeah.
right? But an opportunity like this, I'm sure if those of you out there that have had this album,
Yeah.
dust it off and give it a chance. And if you have live kisses, throw it in.
Yep.
I mean, it's not long. I think it's about
Yeah.
an hour and change. Um, and again, it's nice to see. I mean, you had the album, and then which is a nice audio experience. Throw the Blu-ray in or the DVD,
Right.
and watch it in black and white for a little bit of a throwback
And
sound.
I think that is one of the appeals to this set is the fact that it's black and white. Because I'm a huge fan of black and white cinema. So
Right.
seeing that and watching him sing these older songs in black and white, I think is a really cool thing.
Absolutely. And and you get to see people. You just like I said, you see Joe Walsh in there
Yes,
playing.
Abe is doing some backing vocals on one of the tracks, right? Yeah, backing vocals on "The Glory of Love."
Yeah, which wasn't that the Glory of Love. My first memory of that song was it was in Beaches, right? Wasn't it in Beaches with Bette Midler?
I never saw that movie, so maybe,
You, the big
but
movie buff, hasn't you haven't seen
I'm
Beaches?
not a rom-com fan, my friend.
Well, listen, it was on TV all the time back in the day. You couldn't avoid it. Like I am. It's just
Yeah,
one of those things.
back in your day was not back in my day. Don't forget.
That's true. That's true. That's how I
Yeah,
remember the Glory of
yeah,
Love was from Beaches.
gotcha. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Actually, yeah, Abe's on here a couple times. So yeah, I mean, he does a bunch of my favorites in this performance, and all the regulars there that played on the album are
I
also
am.
here.
Diana Krall's
Diana
all there.
Krall, John
Yeah.
Pizzarelli, John Clayton. Kareem Riggins, so yeah.
Now, quite interesting, we because McCartney in reissues and stuff. Now, do we know if the album has been reissued by Capitol since he went back?
No, no.
So this sucker's out of print too,
Yeah, it's out of print as well. Yeah.
even the regular CD.
Anything, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now you would thought
I would think actually Chaos and Creation was on Capitol, wasn't it?
the
Um
first time,
yeah, the first time.
yes, it was. That
Yeah,
was his
so
last
then
one. Then he left.
that's why it was re-released in that set a few years back. Because if you remember, but here's the thing: New was reissued with that set with Chaos and Creation, but that was on Concord, I believe.
On vinyl, not
Vinyl.
CD, not CD.
Not, yeah. See,
Well,
when it was reissued a few years back, it was reissued. See, that's on Concord, is it not?
Concord.
Yes. Okay. So that has not been reissued. That
But the
deluxe,
vinyl, the
the
vinyl,
vinyl of New has been reissued on Capitol.
but not
Yes.
a CD, as far as we know.
I'm not 100% sure on that.
I don't think it has
Not
been because I don't.
100%
I
sure
haven't
because
seen
when
it.
they did those reissues with
The
Chaos and Creation and
single
New,
discs, right? Yeah.
right. I don't recall if they did do them on CD because I didn't need it. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
I don't think they did.
Yeah.
I don't think they did. But again, another case that Tom and I always freaking say, out of print, just reissue them.
Right.
Just throw this out there again. I mean,
Right.
make it available. I mean, I'm sure it's not. I'm sure that the CD is probably not super hard to come by, and secondhand eBay, Discogs, whatever.
Right.
But just
Right.
put it in print. Just put it in
Yeah.
print.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah. Getting back to the DVD, I mean, this is one of the better, in my opinion, this is one of the better concert films that he's done. Why is that? Because
Well, because there's nobody there.
there's
That's
no
why. That's why. There's
very,
not
very
singing.
right.
Lady in the front row yelling.
Yeah.
Cut. Old man
Yeah.
crying.
Right.
Cut. Young girl
Child. Yeah,
singing.
yeah, right.
Cut. People driving to the show. Cut.
Right.
Paul. None of that. None of that in
Right.
this.
There's none of that. Right. Very, very limited audience. So you don't see a lot of that. And if there is, it's usually in between songs, but you do get the cuts between the musicians, which is fine, and when Paul is singing, it's on Paul, which is what which is what we want.
Yeah. Don't want to see the 65-year-old guy crying. Sorry. But I agree. It is one of the better concert films that he's produced. Classy,
Right.
and you'd like to say it's almost very kind of harkens back to like when he did that kind of Chaos and Creation at Abbey Road. Anything in like a controlled
Yes.
environment like that,
Right.
where there's only a few people and you get a nice release. More of that. More of that.
Yes.
More of
I'll
that.
take that. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, I would definitely, even if you kind of like Kisses on the Bottom, and if you don't have this, I would recommend you picking it up.
Just because just a change of pace. If it's another
Yeah.
side of Paul McCartney that you don't know,
Hmm.
just to check it out, listen to it once. I mean, again, if you have streaming services, I'm sure it's on that. I
Right.
don't know that for a fact, but it's out there. I mean, you can listen to it. If only you listen to it for the couple tracks that Tom mentioned that he liked, which were his favorites and mine. We think those are the best songs on the album. So
Right.
give them a check, give them a play.
Give them play. Absolutely. Cool. All right. Anything else you want to add?
Not much, man. No, this I'd like to revisiting this. I know we talked about it when we did our February schedule.
Right.
Again, because it's not a record you pull off the shelf every day.
No, but
You
I
know?
think it's appropriate for it's Valentine week. And Valentine weekend. It's
That's
kind
a
of
Hallmark. That's a Hallmark
Yeah.
created holiday.
Yeah,
But that's
but
crap.
it fits that though. I mean, it
It,
fits
it,
this.
it, it fits the timing of the
Yeah,
year and everything,
right.
which is nice. And it ties into really when the album came out. We're
Mhm.
recording this show
Right.
when the album came out
Right.
9 years ago. So
Mm.
it's nice thinking about that time. And again, it's just a one-off thing. Um, Paul in a different context, listening to him, going back to the songs of his youth and his dad.
Right.
And if you put yourself and you listen to the album in that context, I think everybody can appreciate it on those
Mhm.
terms. Maybe
Right.
we know not everybody will, but I know Tom can and I can.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't want to go into this. I mean, if you haven't listened to this yet, you don't want to go in thinking that it's going to be, a regular McCartney record.
Yeah, you ain't getting no rock show on here.
Right. Exactly. No rock show. Absolutely.
No.
Yeah. You're
But
not going to be seeing an animated Joe Wall or Joe English just going crazy on the drums.
no,
Yeah.
but yeah, no. This was a pleasure revisiting this one go again because
Yeah.
it had been probably a couple years since I actually
Right.
took the Blu-ray out, listened to the album, start to finish the vinyl.
Yeah.
You know, when we do these things, this is how it's my way of how I prepare. I'm sure Tom does the same.
Yeah. 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 Actually,
So,
it's I mean, because it was just mid last year when I watched this, and then watched it again the other night. So, and I have no problem with that. When you enjoy the songs that he does, it doesn't feel like it's a chore or anything like that. It doesn't
no,
feel like, oh, I gotta watch this to get ready for a show.
no.
When you enjoy the songs that he's doing, I don't mind watching it again after such a short period from the last time I watched it.
Because if you enjoy it, then that's
Yeah.
that's the whole point of the whole thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So excellent.
kisses on the bottom.
Kisses on the Bottom, good stuff. So let us know your thoughts on Kisses on the Bottom. If you're watching on YouTube, please leave in the comments your thoughts on the album, and we'll get back to you on that. If you're listening to the audio version of them, if you want to leave us an email, you can drop us an email at twolegspodcast@gmail.com, or you can check us out on our Facebook page. Leave a comment on our Facebook page. Two Legs Podcast right there, Instagram and Twitter as well. Two Legs Podcast. Our YouTube channel, we're really getting there with our YouTube channel. We've been really building that up, and we'd really appreciate it if you haven't subscribed yet to check it out, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're past 450 now. We're trying to hopefully we can get to 500 by the end of February, which would be a really cool thing. So, and then speaking of YouTube, we're working on our ranking the track series. By when this comes out, we would have just done Pipes of Peace, and then working on Broad Street for the following Wednesday. So check that out, and that'll be a lot of fun as well. So a lot of you have been joining us for that, and we really appreciate everybody tagging along with us on this journey, because it's been a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
And it's just so cool seeing everybody's rankings and how different they are. And this is the thing that we talk about. Like, if you gave us a blank CD and say, here you go, put the Paul McCartney songs that you think should go on this CD, and I guarantee you, everybody that returns that CD, it'll be a different track list. You will never see two of the same track lists on a CD. If all of us together, if there was like 1,000 of us, all 1,000 would be totally different. I'm totally convinced of that.
It has to be. You would think, right? I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible. And boy, the one coming up, the most recent one coming up after as if this goes live, boy, that is going to be a very. I have a lot of feeling that there's going to be a lot of comments on that one. I really do. I mean, Tom, can you wait? I mean, I know you can't wait for this, right?
No, Broad Street's going to be fun ranking. It's going to be really fun ranking. Thanks a lot.
You're quite welcome. We know where this is going to be. Just for a little teaser for everybody out there.
I mean, I don't know what I hate more, that or what he did to Silly Love Songs.
Ooh, that's true. You don't like this when he's driving the car and he lost the box and the tapes are gone and his life is over.
Yeah, that's it.
After he goes to visit the old guy, have you seen a big blue one? Hey, that's it.
Yes. Listen,
give me the Uber Broad Street box set, Ed Crawford. I know that you're in with me on that. Come on.
Yeah, that's it. All right, so ranking the tracks, Broad Street. That's gonna be a lot of fun, and Press to Play after that will probably be a lot of fun.
And we've talked a lot about Press to Play
Yeah.
over the last year with
Yeah,
some
exactly.
shows we've done, sir.
So, coming up next week, we got Paul Saley on the show, who we all know is working on the Little Wing, the Jimmy McCullough story. So that'll be a lot of fun, getting some insights and Jimmy McCullough's career and life, his time working with McCartney, Thunderclap Newman, all of that good stuff. Some myths. I know he's debunked did some myth busting with Jimmy as well. So that'll be a lot of fun. So check that out next week. So, Andy, anything else?
Not much. Thanks for supporting us as always, everybody. Keep the comments coming, positive and negative.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us how you feel. We don't mind. So, as always, everybody, again, have a great day and a beautiful night. So long.
You've been listening to Two Legs, a Paul McCartney podcast, hosted by Tom Hunyadi and Andy Nichols, with musical contributions by Dylan